I have been hitting the created superstar side of the fence here, there, and sometimes. And that's where this is at this time because it is fitting to use the created superstar of one of the top stars that will be returning in early 2023, that being Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes sustained a nasty injury back at Hell in a Cell over the summer. I believe it was in May or June, and we have not seen Cody since. But rumors have it that Cody will not only be back soon, but that he will be ready for the Royal Rumble at the end of January. So much like Drew McIntyre, Cody Cody Rhodes will not miss the road to WrestleMania. And the rumor has it that upon Cody's return, he will revisit his feud with Seth Rollins, or at least settle his feud with Seth Rollins, because you have to figure that there really isn't much left for Cody and Seth to do after the brutal Hell in a Cell match back at Hell in a Cell last year, or this past year. So now the question is, if Cody does come back, do you start the feud back at the Royal Rumble and then end it at Elimination Chamber? But I guess it depends on what your plans are for WrestleMania, because I think WWE needs to have an idea of what they're going to do with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania by Royal Rumble. Otherwise, you're doing a disservice to the Royal Rumble winner and the Royal Rumble pay per view. So you need to know if The Rock is going to be available for WrestleMania by Royal Rumble, in my opinion. But I for one am excited to see Cody come back because there's every indication that Cody Rhodes is not just a future WWE champion this time around, but also there's every indication that Cody will have a future rivalry with the tribal chief, whether it's Cody being the one that defeats Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship, or somebody else defeats Roman and then Cody ends up defeating the person that defeated Roman. Because I still do believe that Seth could be somebody that gets slotted into that title picture. I believe that with momentum, Bobby Lashley could, but it feels like they want to keep Bobby Lashley where he's at for right now and establish more depth to his character, which I have no problem with that. But I think at some point, once the feud is over with him and Brock Lesnar, that maybe at some point Bobby could be back in the world title picture. Because based on, and I will say this based on WrestleMania rumors, I wouldn't mind seeing Brock win to lose to his rumored WrestleMania opponent. But that's how I think it should go. Whether that's how it's going to go or not, it's the subject for a different video. But either way, Cody Rhodes is set to return ahead of the Royal Rumble match in January. So that'll be nice to see Cody return and get a big pop for the second time in his WWE run. You'd have to figure. Speaking of runs, we have heard a lot from Trent Seven, or we've seen a lot of Trent Seven in AEW over the last couple of weeks, specifically on Rampage. But the fact of the matter is, Trent Seven, and I will work on my segues. Trent Seven is not an official member of AEW just yet, because there is a reason why you have not seen the typical tweet from Tony Khan, because Trent Seven is on a per appearance contract with AEW and has not signed an official deal. So it is very similar to the deal that Matt Cardona was working with AEW back in 2020, where he was not working exclusively with AEW, but was just working a few dates for AEW, um, I guess to try something different or whatever the case may be. Um, but for that being said, or with that being said, I am excited to see Trent Seven in AEW. I think he can do solid stuff. I would love to see Trent Seven against Dustin Rhodes in a singles match, and I would just love to see Trent Seven get maybe a win or two before, like maybe work an episode of Dark and get some wins on Dark or Elevation or something like that, and then work a match with Dustin. But this, in my opinion, does mean that we could be seeing Trent Seven as a member of the NXT Europe roster in 2023 because his time in AEW may be done by then, unless he signs a full time deal with AEW, which is also possible. But that segues nicely into something else worth talking about, and that is with Ring of Honor going to the Honor Club format. What does that mean for the AEW roster? Because it could lead to the AEW roster being split of into a split of sorts for the AEW roster, where certain talent goes to Ring of Honor, certain talent goes to AEW, and there really has not been a significant split within the roster yet to really explain who's going to go which way and who's going to go the other way, or who's going to go one way and who's going to go the other way. But the fact of the matter is, one thing we know for certain is it's going to lessen the pressure on the AEW roster because it's not going to be as hard to find time for a bloated roster once the split happens. Because I think a lot of AEW stars that may surprise you may have their contract transferred to Ring of Honor to allow them to get a little bit more time and have a little bit more breathing room in a different company or on a different brand. One last note before we end this news video, I want to say that according to reports, Sasha Banks is set to play a similar role at Wrestle Kingdom, or New Japan hopes that Sasha Banks will play a similar role this year at Wrestle Kingdom to what Chris Jericho did a few years ago when he made his New Japan return to have his matches with Kenny Omega and uh, and the other people he would end up facing, because I don't think anybody expected Jericho to have his run with New Japan through 2020, but that well, the exact story was not because of Jericho's full run. It was that New Japan hopes that Sasha Banks has a similar effect to business that Jericho did when he first returned in 2018 for his match with Kenny Omega. If I, and the sad part is I have it written down, and I still butchered it. But either way, I just want to say, as this is the week before Christmas, and that means that we have about 2 weeks left in 2022, a big thank you again for what has been a magical few months and a magical 2022. I very much appreciate every single one of you that have clicked on a video or subscribe or just interact with my content in any way, shape, or form, either here on YouTube or over on Twitch. I appreciate you very much, and I wish you nothing but a safe and happy holidays and a very safe and happy new year. Thank you, and I look forward to a full 2023 for spending time creating content for each and every one of you. Till next time.